Okay, we will call to order the March Victorian Village hearing. Our next business meeting is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025 at 12 p.m. noon. It's in 11 Street, second floor, room 205, which is adjacent. Our next hearing will be Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 at 4 p.m. 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204, which is room number. Can you see your name, please?
Kimberly Bernard Sheehy. I do.
Okay, great. We'll do introduction of commissioners present.
Lynn Shaw.
Kevin Karzik, Reed Sprite, and Tim Skinner. We need to do an overview of.
Do one real quick. All right, so the hearing format goes in this order. The city staff shall present the application, and then the applicant and or owner shall be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials if needed. Registered speakers will be sworn in and provided 3 minutes to speak each. I don't believe we will have any tonight, but if we do, we'll roll with it. Commissioners will discuss the case and ask questions if needed. And for anybody who is continued or conceptual, today they have a week from today to submit materials to be on the April 9th hearing.
Okay, great.
Not today.
Then we can move on to approval of staff approvals.
Motion to approve staff approvals.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes. We will read through those for any abstentions.
All right. We have 154 Buttles Avenue, 641 Dennison Avenue, 1136 Neal Avenue. And just those three staff approvals.
Then we can move on to approval of meetings, minutes from the last meeting. A motion.
Motion to approve meeting minutes from February.
Second that in a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Slate repair and slate replacement. And Tim, I'll hand it back to you, but do we need to get
Representatives for the application, if you want to take a seat at the table.
and do we need any additional chairs? Or are you?
No.
Okay.
Can you state your name for the record?
Kyle Alfriend.
You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Anything that you would like to add, based on the staff?
Yeah, just that, you skip through, I know you've been scrolling through those pictures, but several more slate have broken off. There's like 5 or 6 laying around the ground, several stuck in the gutter. The whole thing is basically deteriorating. And it also, it's impossible to match it. So there's like 3 different colors up there and that sort of thing. And I went out there and stood on the front. You can see 9 other houses from the front. And of those 9 houses, 8 have switched to the asphalt. Those are just samples of the neighbors that I sent in, are all the asphalt that we're looking at switching it to. And to do any further, the roofer told me that to do any further repair, because of the rotting of the wood up in the attic, basically that all needs to be replaced, which means we have to tear off the slate across the entire thing, and the slate isn't going to survive that. They're breaking 5 and 6 slate tiles every time they go up to repair. Got tenants in there, and we keep having leaking problems because of this. And every time we go to repair anything, we break more stuff. So that's why we just want to switch the asphalt shingles, which all the neighbors have done.
I'll turn it over to.
Well, I guess the first thing I would ask is, so, we're looking at a slate.
Mhm.
The requirements is we look at the slate roof assessment, which you kind of provided. They did say that the roof had still a useful service life left it, and then it just needs to have maintenance from replacing individual slates. What's your thought on that? And for us, that kind of indicates that it needs just to be repaired rather than replaced.
Well, we've done that. I understand what you're saying, and we've done that. We usually run about a $12,000 cost every time we do it. And then it lasts for about 6 months. And so much is damaged when they're up there doing it, then we have to go up there and do another $10,000 or whatever of repair. And it's just a continual thing. I'm not sure which picture it is. I brought some photographs here also to point out just, I mean, it actually looks pretty bad because the new ones don't match the old ones and that sort of thing. What the roofers told me is we're not going to be able to solve this problem. We're just going to have to every year spend sometimes 2,000 or 3,000, sometimes 10,000 or 15,000, depending upon how bad the winter is and stuff. Just constantly replacing them and turning it over.
You have a record of with frequency of their work that's been done.
I do not have that with me. I'm sorry. I didn't think to bring that.
It's a question too. The commission side, have there been applications for
repair.
repair?
I would have to recheck the file.
You mean from us? No. No, we started having in one of the units, pretty severe leaking. We had to do a bunch of work. We contacted the insurance company, which is State Farm. And now they would only cover the repair because they're going to cover the cheaper option, of course. And that's when we kind of got tired of it and said we really probably ought to switch to asphalt shingles. And at the time, the people right next door to us, that's what they were doing. It's tearing off the roof and switching.
Which, as we keep saying, original slate.
Mhm. Right.
The true condition is. assessments. We might look at that too, how these that are flagging off.
Mhm.
Works with say 9 months. 5%. But we're also aware that the replacement fairly for big back.
Right, correct. And that's why we did put in there like the red and the ridge vents and all that type of thing include that. And not all of the people around there did that, and they just went with the regular shingles. But I would say probably at least 2/3 or so did the red on there. And so we wanted to match that. And actually you have to, I mean, if you know what you're looking for, it's obvious. But if, just kind of driving down the road, there's not a big difference. You have to look a little bit closer to tell the asphalt from the slate, as long as you do those treatments of the red and the peaks and the valleys, that sort of thing.
I would say for us to entertain shingle, it needs to be one that is closer in shape to this one, because this has a very distinctive diamond shape to it, which is very different than the standard rectangular shingle.
That is correct, yes.
Also need to demonstrate the cresting, because you're right, it does have the ridge rolls, but it also has very distinctive cresting, the ridge rolls that have extra decoration to them. I would say it needs to be verified that there needs to stay or be replaced.
Now, we talked to 4 different asphalt roofers and 2 slate roofers, and none of the asphalt roofers proposed. I didn't go down that path, to be very honest. I should have. But as far as that shape that you're talking about, I understand what you're saying, and none of them even brought that up as an option. Okay. Yeah, that's what I didn't even know.
And it probably wouldn't be a shingle that's on the approved list.
So I think in this case, it would be a much better match. This is a very distinctive character versus just a rectangle.
Yes.
Correct. And yeah, they all the proposals we got were all rectangular. Nobody even brought that up. I wonder where they existed.
We have thoughts on the
There does appear to be some damage to it. I can say exactly in pictures. And if you were to go
It's like it's at a chimney.
There's actually 4 chimneys in there.
that's not. That. Versus replace things. So. Is it?
You want me to go up and add? I mean, I can do a site visit.
That attic access is about 2 by 2.
So it
I
sounds like you
can't
just
get up
want-
In terms of following the process that we typically follow, that's right. It's rely on the expert. Reputable companies that. If they wanted to opine on the condition of the wood to support the continued use of the slate, that might be a factor. But I think without that, it's hard to make justification if there's no hard line.
So are you saying that you want an updated slate roof report from one of the slate companies about like what their opinion is on replacing?
I'm saying that, yeah, I think for consistency purposes, right? I think what we would need to see something from people, the slate contractors, that is, you know, we're saying that this is a mitigating factor, that says, yes, because of this, we no longer say that this has serviceable life.
I'm sorry, I'm not fully understanding what,
Yeah, so the slate assessment you have says that the roof has a useful life left in it. And that with proper maintenance, and to your point, yeah, it's not cheap maintenance, but, you know, kind of the annual go out and fix the broken slates, sort of. So when we get a professional opinion that says that, that's usually what we use for our guidance. We establish. In this case, the contractor that performed the slate assessment did not evaluate the wood in the attic, right? And so we're saying, what I'm saying.
yeah, he didn't even climb up in there. Yeah.
And so, you know, when they formed the opinion that the roof had useful life left in it, would their opinion change if they saw the condition of the wood and knowing that they have to remove more slates to fix boards and any of that type of thing to perhaps change or alter their opinion?
Okay, so we need to get them back out there.
I think if you want to continue pursuing asphalt, then I don't see any other. What another?
So I'm looking at the message from Decision Slate dated February. And they're stating they're not aware of it. Did not investigate further. There's maybe an amendment to that letter or something else that ascertain.
I think documentation that we this year I had replaced this thing this year.
That would
Kind of demonstrate that to reach candidates service.
Bringing a lot of subjectivity. We slates is doing.
And what Dakota guidelines
Right,
say,
right.
because the updated guidelines are very specific about slate replacements.
Yeah. So I'm hesitant to go down.
To summarize, I think one here. Based on the information that the report have stating that it's still useful life.
Mhm.
Our charges. Documentation, specification. Slate. So that kind of puts us in a spot where there is your side's willingness to continue to do one investigation to kind of evaluate and serve with not just the slate itself, but the entire system.
Mhm.
That the ongoing, sure.
Now, we do have documentation from one of the asphalt companies, and they said all of that wood needs to be ripped out completely.
So we would ask.
But you want it from a slate company.
Oftentimes, asphalt,
Mhm.
they're coming from different views.
Correct.
It's
Mhm.
also specifically called out in the guidelines that it needs to be a licensed slate roof contractor in Columbus.
Okay,
So just to kind of further explain like.
Right.
where it's coming from, you're just not stating it.
And I would throw out, we have seen, I'll say more creative solutions in terms of trying to keep the slate. I know we had them, this came across with, it's actually a violation. It's a bunch of different color reclaimed slates they found.
And I'm going
You're gonna be-
to, no, we would not support
I
that.
wouldn't support that.
No.
Okay.
I think that one was unique to Coles.
Yeah, I mean, it was more multicolored than this one.
So after hearing our dialogue, does that make sense for you, or do you?
yeah, I was watching for the picture to come up. It's just that we're struggling because it really looks like a patch job. My printer was low, so I don't know if you can see that or, but it just basically, these repairs are making it look, I just think it makes it look worse. And it's, and the asphalt kind of cleans that, and it's only going to continue to get worse. So I was out there this morning taking this picture, and since I was out there, there's looks like 3 slate tiles that broke off during the night, and they're sitting in the gutter. And I just been out there and picked up several of them around the house, and I got tenants in there, and I don't want those slates coming down on top of their heads also.
I mean, the other thing worth noting, right, we're saying, right, I mean, in addition to code of guidelines, I mean, like, right? But we kind of put off to the side that slate is not an option just because of the cost, right? So that is, if it is really a concern about maintenance and frankly, us, still balancing the historic character, I mean, a new slate roof, right, is an option that could be considered. Costs were not a factor, which we are to consider cost in our.
And on the initial review.
During our initial.
Yes, I just want to clarify.
If it's so appeal, that could change, but, so I want to make sure that option still is out there. And I don't, what's the latest on composites? We don't do that case by case.
It's a case by case you need to review. And we need an actual physical sample of a composite slate here, just because that's how the process is. If we're entertaining a new slate or a new shingle that's not on the list, to get a kind of a better sense in person of.
Okay.
Yeah, the composites have come a long way.
Mhm.
And I think we're just hoping to the new ideas, if it makes sense and is the right material and kind of functions the same way there are examples around the neighborhood. So that might be an option as well. See, removing a slate roof with this condition where it's still, the contractor still says it's serviceable, and it's replacing it with asphalt with a really tough cell. So,
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything you wanted to add, or?
You're gonna go on the run. State your name and swear you.
You can swear in if you want, or
Yeah,
if you want to.
yeah, sure,
If
right.
you want to add, he's going to swear you.
State your name for the record, please.
Ahmed Moshiri.
Swear yourself.
Yes, I do. Yeah. This is my first time exposure to a situation like this, and I'm just understanding. And I certainly do respect the reasoning, the rationale that you have, and certainly understand his predicament, right? But I'm also looking at it is just my solely listening to the conversation, is that the situation with the tenants, their impact on the tenants, because they've had leaks in the room, several leaks.
We've had leaks.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
constantly in there fixing stuff.
And how does that plays into your decision making and the process? Yeah, that's one question that came to my mind. Yeah, the costs associated with the repair. Yeah, the look and visual display of the homes. Yeah, it looks like I've seen it, but I haven't seen it lately. I probably have seen it over a year ago. It's just in comparison to the other roofs that the picture was showing, seems like if all the factors were considering that they are not the same, but they are near the same condition, wouldn't we want a new roof that still is within the guidelines of the zoning to be the desired outcome? I guess that's what I'm in, considering the impact on the tenants, considering the costs associated with the continuous repair and the outcomes, regardless whether or not there has a life in it. If he's willing to pay for the new roof, would that overcomes the remaining life of the roof? Because the remaining life, it's going to probably deteriorate and accelerate, shorten over time with the condition that he's describing. So that was my just observation, and yeah, right, as an independent opinion here. Yeah.
Challenging slate. It's not our purpose to
To start with, I'm just gonna, because it is a part of a larger process. It's just when we do the initial review, we don't, look at the cost. Materials can be submitted, but that's not what we'll be voting on for the first pass.
And the aesthetic question, subjective thing, is to make it fall back to city building guidelines for this, that sort of roof. I'm sure that material does have some barrier to it and some, you know,
Yeah.
it is a contributing factor to
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And we do appreciate that. That's why it was bought. You know, there's an appeal there. So I certainly appreciate that. We're trying to just figure out the kind of the best solution.
Yeah, and then
With
that's
all
what it's our charge is to
Right.
work with you and find that the right path forward. That's and then make sure we're doing all of them. So again, I'll throw it back to you to continue this process so that we can to switch over to asphalt. I think what specification
Mhm.
for that point, if we also it's an asphalt is kind of conversation of as we can that shape and spirit.
Mhm. Yeah, because I have a maintenance guy on my staff but he won't go up there and fix them anymore because he breaks 3 of them every time he goes up there. So then that switches to the
That's special.
professionals. All right.
Well, do I have
Motion on the application COA 2500093 239 Wilbur Avenue to continue the application.
second?
Second.
All those in favor? So motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to application number 2, which is 1025 Avenue. This application is to remove an existing brick chimney at the rear of the house and rebuild the chimney in the same spot to match the front 2 chimneys with bricks that match the wood color and texture. The proposed replacement brick would be the Glenberry, the 52 PD. The chimney does not have a COA for being arched, but there is a 1989 photo in the file that shows it was completed roughly about that time. The photo shows that project looks pretty new. Each PO staff would guess that it's just shy of being historic, so we don't have to worry about evaluating it for its historic nature. Rear chimneys like this are more utilitarian and less decorative, so would approving a new chimney to match the front ones be appropriate, or would it be false historicism per City Code 3116.11 subsection 3? Staff recommends continuation of the application to allow the applicant to discuss alternative designs. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, these standards for alteration.
Kevin, can the applicant state your name for the record, please?
My name is Erin Pulver. I'm the daughter of the owner, Lisa Pulver.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Chenault, and I work for All Ohio Masonry Restoration.
You get it, swear to tell.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Anything that you'd like to add to the application based on commentary from the staff?
I wouldn't mind making a statement that I agree with the chimney being a utility chimney and not being as decorative as the front chimneys. So what I've done, I done another drawing, if I could submit these to you guys as well, just simplifying it, putting a 2-course drip edge, simple. I know we don't have any photos of the chimney before it had been parged, but I'm hoping that you guys can see that that's pretty much a hack job. Somebody didn't know how to tuck point. It's apparent to me through the photos, you can see where the crown's not even there. They just took the top of it off and just forged and painted, and it's even getting worse. It's becoming a structural issue at this point. She's got some condensation showing up inside the home. We don't know if the flex liner needs to be replaced or not. So yeah, I'm hoping that the drawings here will make this simple.
Maybe pull up this for a moment.
Yeah, gonna make a statement about the drawings. Staff does not encourage, accepting new materials. We've run into the issue with other applicants of things not being accurate or up to code and guidelines and being missed and improved, and it's created some messes. So if we do want to approve a chimney and like look at the drawing, perhaps subcommittee review, just tossing it out there.
I mean, like, that makes perfect sense. I think we can have a dialogue first, and it might lead us towards, some of that. Okay, remember the commission.
So this is a good one because I'm like, almost always agree with staff, but I'm like, I don't see a lot of arched chimneys. So I've got, there's 6, including the ones in the backyard that are all brick.
Don't get
All
out.
the details, right? And so, having just gone through a few of these, I'm like, yeah, this is how you prepare the chimneys, right? So, I don't know, have you seen carving ever for?
Yeah, but usually for the, not for original, for the reason that, when someone doesn't know how to do it, like, I'll just smear something over it and that will take care of the problem. When really it just exacerbates it, which is the. So, and usually it creates other, it attracts water in the masonry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, because of those prior acts.
It's where.
Right there. Yeah, explain that. Again, the thing is like, so, I mean, I guess I'll just go down and say, I'm okay with this, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're not, if it was a really big fancy chimney like we see on some of the really large houses, then I totally see, it's nice detailing, but it's not super over the top, elaborate carved brick. Gargoyle type chimney.
And it's consistent with the rest of the house.
Right, I think this makes sense, it's not screaming, look at me, but it's not inappropriate.
Let me ask this to the applicant, based on what originally submitted, based on staff comments, based on the hearing, would your preference be to maintain what was originally submitted, or since you have gone through the effort of maybe simplifying a little bit, would you rather have a commentary on that, or do you feel strongly about one versus the other?
It's just cosmetic to me, as far as functionality. I mean, we just want to get it back above clearances for code, for proper draft, and it doesn't really make a difference to me. If it's okay with you guys, we can stay with the original, or I am agreeing though that usually utility chimneys just aren't as fancy.
So, based on maybe what I'm hearing is some favorable, was as submitted, but you could go down the route of any review, if you wanted to kind of compare it in the. I'll throw that out there.
I'm fine with as it is, has been submitted already.
Okay,
Do we have to just think next to each other?
Is the overall height of the chimney noted on those drawings?
No, because it has yet to be determined. It just, I specified, on, yes, number 6. That's correct. Yes.
Typically, we like to know the exact dimensions, and we've had people that have given us vague answers and then we've run into problems. So when I'm stamping the drawings, I want to make sure I'm stamping the most accurate drawings, and that gets built in the fashion that it's drawn in, and there's no confusion, and we're not going to run into any issues with code, because that's not fun for anybody.
So that's something we could just have and circle back.
Yes.
Anything else that we need to talk about with Arjun that?
I don't think they're planning on parking.
No, I mean, in terms of staff's, kind of justification.
Somebody had said something about why, so I was going to include that as a note of why this was being approved.
And the idea of pardoning from staff review was more about its age and being historic.
Yeah, it's just that, like, I would have liked to tell you that, hey, this is when it was parked.
Still doesn't mean it was the right thing, even if they did in 1975.
Exactly, although it makes it really awkward if it was historic,
Yeah.
then we'd have another discussion. Thankfully, we don't.
Okay, well, I think we're doing a motion. Motion on application COA 250005, 1025 Highland Street, to approve the application as submitted, with the clarification that the final height of the chimney will be submitted to staff for approval for issuance of a certificate. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to upload things to the portal or email, just regardless, if you do upload something to the portal, let me know. I will not get an email notification.
It was difficult.
Yes.
I'm not the most savvy, but
I understand, it's difficult for a lot of people. I wish we had a more techie person to help people troubleshoot. And, unfortunately for Victorian, you have me.
well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we will move on to application number 3, which is for the CAP, no formal address. This application is to revise the layout of the summer mural series, the summer spray, per one of the new layouts provided. And just as a reminder, this is conceptual. I did not put it in the correct place on the agenda, so just, we're going out of order. Please don't be too confused. So the summer spray is a conceptual application, and I believe conceptual approval had been asked for. So the options for the summer spray are as follows: shifting the wall to the westernmost corner of the cap, dividing the wall into 2 and reorienting it to face west, painting the concrete along North Park Street and West Goodale Street on the east and north sides of the cap, or instituting a managed legal wall. And for commissioners looking at the staff report on your devices, I have pages for everything. I was trying to keep it organized as I could and hopefully helpful. As noted, the applicant has requested approval for the new layout, which would be conceptual approval. HPO staff did check with management, and conceptual approval may be granted, but the commission does not have to provide that for a project to move forward. Staff recognizes projects of any scale may need a number of reviews before the commission is comfortable with granting approvals, and staff defers to the commission if they want to grant any conceptual approvals. And this is per City Code 3116.09, issuance of a certificate. And subsection A, at the public hearing, the commission shall issue a concept approval pending the submission of a final construction drawing to be approved by the commission. And the recommendation is to offer design feedback that could be utilized by the applicant to further refine proposal at a future hearing. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.09, the issuance of a certificate, as well as the Short North design guidelines regarding murals.
The applicant, state your name for the record.
Rachel Kengetter. I do.
Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, this will be the 6th year. We started this in 2020, so whatever year that would be, doing summer spray as a temporary mural installation on this weird cap at Goodale and Park. And we've been kind of watching how the community has been engaging with the public art piece, and think because we haven't seen significant foot traffic either to visit while the live painting demonstration is happening or even after the fact, in this weird post-COVID world, I think we're due for a refresh. And so we want to, before we do anything drastic in terms of a redesign or reimagining or something bigger here, see if we can shift the wall in a way that is more visible for pedestrians and for drivers along Park Street and Goodale, and visible from the convention center on High Street. And we think shifting it further west would accomplish that, and we would hope to see greater engagement with the public art as a result. So we think it's a low-hanging fruit in terms of making a modification to a really important existing public art space in the community that would allow us to continue it, but also deepen the community's experience of the art.
Well, so you propose a few different options.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer?
So I also took this to the Arts Commission because it is in the right of way, and they proposed a fifth way, which would be to shift it down and split it in half. So you would have, so on that western facing, kind of facing Park Street there, and then another half of the wall. So it's kind of an L shape around the corner, which I think could be really effective and kind of get at a lot of the different ways we were trying to improve the visibility of the wall.
That makes sense. Though I also like adding to make that space is just miserable, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
So there's obviously there's also happening.
Yeah.
So is there any new thoughts or continuation of what that event is? I'm just thinking of the artists having room to work and people.
Yes.
Watch them, just kind of what thoughts are on that process.
Yeah. So last year we strategically aligned kind of the start and end of the program with gallery hop weekends. So times when we already expect people to be coming out and engaging and thinking about the arts in the community. This summer, we're thinking we're actually going to cluster when artists are painting rather than spreading them out one at a time, which I think is kind of a result of having started this during the pandemic, right? One artist at a time at the wall, clusters of artists coming together on each gallery hop weekend. And that allows us to then also use resources from the gallery hop programming to further activate the space with maybe a small market with booths on the cap, music, popsicles, whatever we might be able to organize there to do exactly what you're suggesting and create more of a moment around it.
I mean, that's kind of my, I mean, it's such a hard space.
Mm-hmm.
And maximizing that longer space. Shorter moments, I think, too, for walking along. That experience is not.
Mm-hmm.
Class for that, it's just such a.
Mm-hmm.
And like having room for. All those add up to me. Implication or shift in.
Along that plane. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other piece that we are proposing here, and when we come back for an actual certificate of appropriateness, we'd separate probably the two ideas. The idea of a legal wall is something that we've seen in other communities. There isn't currently one that we're aware of in Columbus or Central Ohio. It's a place where the public can come and create art. Often graffiti artists or taggers make use of the wall, but anyone could come and utilize the wall. And we're proposing potentially adding a new space in this location for that use. It would be set forth with community guidelines around what would or would not be appropriate to put on the wall and monitored likely by our ambassador team and sort of resurfaced maybe monthly at a routine cadence where it would be refreshed, blank slate, folks can come out and add to it again. So would specifically love any feedback that you have on this concept, and hear your thoughts or concerns or questions about that.
And I like the idea of legal. I don't know, anything that helps get people out there.
I'm going to remind you, we don't like, we use code of guidelines. So just because it's not there, we should do it.
Yeah.
I mean, how much green space do we have? We should be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my thought with this, is that if you have only a portion that is the legal wall, the rest of it is going to become the legal wall.
Yeah.
Potentially even adjacent buildings, right? So
Mhm.
just something to factor in. Not opposed to it, saying it's a risk.
You know, it would have to be good thing here.
Yeah.
Appreciate the spirit of, so I think this is something. Impacting existing wall.
Mhm.
It's temporary. So as long as there is support from commission. Channels. This is probably also. I don't. Perhaps considered a lot of real estate of.
Yeah.
Certainly that process, but.
I'm going to note that the ground plane might be at DPS. And I believe when the North Market was reviewed, they proposed something on the ground, and I think DPS may have said no. So that would be something that we'd have to probably kind of defer to them in a sense of like, who's got the greater restriction, but I also don't
I
want.
think it would be cool.
Yeah. It's just gonna, it's probably not state.
Given it's, it could be anything.
But again, we're still talking in the realm of a temporary.
Mhm.
art.
Mhm.
So, I just say that encourage exploration.
Yeah.
going through the right channels.
Thank you.
Mind and the more that we can do in this spot, the better for.
I guess just along the lines of what we were just talking about, in terms of option C, which I think is just painting the wall there.
Mhm.
Would say, same guidance there, whether it's, public service or just making sure that if that's a path you want to go down, that whoever wall it is contacted well before you get approvals from everyone else.
Great. We do currently pull a permit from ODOT every year, to make sure that we're allowed to be there in that space. So I haven't explicitly asked them, but would hope that they'd be in support of an adjustment here too.
Maintenance they don't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fine with any of the options. We're open to whatever you guys think is best, and
Great.
We'll take a look at it and kind of develop, but
Okay,
I don't see anything that's a red flag.
excellent. All right,
But,
that's sufficient. Yes, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna ask, I think I know the answer. Is the applicant for number 4 here, 5862 West Third Avenue?
Not us.
I knew that much. It's like, I recognize Carrick enough, and I'm like, he's number 5. So I think we're going to be skipping to that one then. And do you want me to pull third chair up for,
I think we're good.
Okay. All right, so we'll need to circle back to number 4, but number 5 is 74 West Star Avenue. This is 2.5-story house. It would be appearance of a duplex. The third unit would be at the rear with the appearance of an addition to the main house. And then to construct a 2-story, 3-car garage. Construction materials to include brick, fibrous lap siding, both horizontal and vertical. The GAF slate line shingles and English gray, K-style gutters, wall sconces, gooseneck lighting, Marvin elevate windows, the Pella Craftsman smooth wood door, the Cloak Pay modern steel garage door, and a 36-inch wood railing. Commissioners at the business meeting requested that the building materials on the drawings were labeled. There was some confusion as to what parts were which materials, which those drawings have been updated, and I did add them to the materials. A full section drawing of the front porch was included, but the commission noted that the one submitted was missing the railing and they would like to see the full condition. Clarification on the base of the porch was also requested. Commissioners noted that the gutter detail needed to be added to the drawing. Per City Code 3116.11, these standards for alteration in each property shall be recognized as a product of its own time. Alterations that have no historical basis, which seek to create an earlier opinion, shall be discouraged. HBO staff would encourage the commission to discuss if the rear unit should match the front unit, or if it should be more coordinating siding, as the presented materials make it appear like an addition. The commission should also discuss if a 3-car garage fits into the existing context, and if 3 individual doors would be more appropriate than the proposed configuration, which I do believe that was updated in the drawing. Staff recommends approval of the application with any and all clarifications submitted to HBO staff prior to issuance of the certificate. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 330319, letter S, City Code 3116.12, lead standards for new construction. City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, and I will pass it back to Commissioner Skinner to swear in the applicant.
Okay, you state your name for the record.
Carrick Sherrill. I certainly do.
Sure.
I don't really have much else to add. We made the changes that provided the information that was requested. I mean, not really much has changed about the project since the last time we looked at it, except for the clarifications. We did go to 3 garage doors. I think that's really all. The variances required are listed on the front site plan, the first sheet. I don't know if we can vote on a recommendation for that this evening as well. But that, I guess that can be discussed as part of the rest of the discussion of the project.
So this wasn't submitted, the variances were submitted by the deadline. So if you want to discuss, I will leave that to your purview, but in terms of recommending them, no. But I would encourage the commission, if they're not recommended, that we should have quorum at the business meeting. Hint, that way we could move it to staff approval.
And so those variances were part of the page that was submitted on paper for deadline solution.
Mhm.
Quite a few there.
They're pretty typical for this area. Most are conforming existing conditions that were yeah.
All this one, but off is that. That's the case.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that aren't really about the existing conditions are the garage height. And honestly, that's all because if this was R2F like its neighbors, a 3-foot side yard would, oh, I'm sorry, because it's multifamily, it would need a 5-foot side yard. So the side yard variance would still be a variance. But if this was an R2F district, this would be 2 variances instead of 6, 7. Sorry.
The R2F, is it the same lot coverage ratio?
So the lot coverage ratio is a crazy factor of you can only count the square footage for the lot that would be included in the depth of the width of the lot times 3. So if I have a 10-foot wide lot that's by 100 feet, I only get to call that a 300-foot lot. Even though it's really a 1,000-foot lot. It's just, it's a very archaic portion of the zoning code. We don't know why it's in there. I think most of staff doesn't know why it's in there.
Perhaps it'll get updated with the next round.
I think there's been a movement from zoning staff to have Shannon Pine request that to be amended in the zoning code in short order from city council.
Okay, I will- Just a few things, so. I don't know which one to talk about. Site coverage of the program, non-programming. This was on last month's agenda, right? We can show you guys. So, but we did have a few items at the business meeting that we discussed. One of which was the gable roof on the front. And whether that should be structured as a hip roof to be more consistent with the other houses on the street. Well, you get it in. Or that feedback, or
I didn't get that feedback. I don't know if I would necessarily have a preference. I mean, I think some of the buildings on the street have, I mean, I think there's a mix of hips and gables on the street.
partial gable, none of them are gable. For the full front.
Okay,
So, we were looking at it, we're like, something looks off, and we think that it's but it's because it's not the hip roof, right? So then we just kind of just compare, yeah, you got a little gable on there. It's not.
sure.
Other side of the street all different. Might be an opportunity for a dormer there too. So there might be still some options to save some of your space in that.
We're not using it, so, I mean, if that could, I mean, it's not gonna change the elevation too much. I mean, so if that could be a condition of approval, like, we don't have any. I mean, to be honest, there was a proposal that was approved in 21 for this site, and it had a front gable. I mean, the front elevation is almost exactly the same as what was approved in 2020 or 21, maybe it was 19. You guys remember what year that was?
21.
So, I mean, again, it's like,
It doesn't seem to be a deal breaker.
no, absolutely not. We'd actually love to walk away with an approval, and we'll change it to a hip.
Super strong opinion. I think it stands out. Just looking at that side of the street. It looks funny, you don't know why. We only see point to that, turn and gables. The question on the siding. Garage. Stay. So, I think submitted.
try to avoid the vertical, but I think we're. Sure.
So, well, that's the hard thing.
Just, I feel like this kind of particularly some of these houses that stuff just a little bit of perspective as that pushing back, you lose some of that perspective, and some of that portions start to feel as good as they feel. That is my concern. Personally, most like is that I don't think necessarily steps quite as much as to the west, but there is a little bit.
There is some grade change from the street.
Walking by a sidewalk perspective, it's how you were perceiving that house.
Yeah.
As soon as you do that, you're some of that. After I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the church?
It's siding.
But even in the scale, it's usually things having low. It's perfect.
All right.
You change these up. My boss asking you this question, but the windows, the soldier courses above the windows, struck me on. Supposed to use it solid. Yeah.
There is my.
Okay. That's like the surveying neighborhood looking around for, it's can't watch everything, so, but I did want to. So I guess it's just a roof thing, right? It's still like that, the only thing that we're still talking about. Yeah, bulletproof on the front. Actually. Yeah.
Well, let's come back to that. Coverage.
But if we discuss them, then they can be ruled on if there's a quorum of business meeting.
Theoretically, and this is not the case, but if a applicant were to submit variances without you seeing them and you decided after reviewing them at the business meeting, you'd already previously reviewed the drawings, and you looked through them and you went, hey, this is all good, you could move to staff approval without having been to a previous meeting. And I know they're included in this on the updated plans. So that's why I defaulted the commission on if you wanted to talk about them, but we can't vote on them because we didn't receive them with proper review time for commission, public, as well as staff, and we do need that by the deadline.
I mean, can we actually vote on the application without variances?
Y'all have done it before. And I'll probably do it again, because sometimes people.
Usually because the architecture is a vote for approval of a COA. The variances are a vote for recommendation to the BZA. So it's kind of has to be two different votes anyway.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's kind of it's hard to. This can't happen.
Sure. Yeah. In my experience, it's more often that an applicant will request a vote on the recommendation of variances prior to the architecture being approved, rather than the other way around. But the architecture outside of the hip is, kind of wrapping up discussion here, and it was just an unfortunate timing thing for the actual variances, so.
This was in for conceptual review, and I don't think initial comment or concern about state program versus ability to achieve success on this.
Mhm.
To justify. I know you're showing a little bit of hint of landscape material. You could look at slender silhouettes are very trees. They don't take. So it seems like there's still going to be there's going to be some, which is good. There's going to be some space in between the city and the garage. What's the
I mean, whether it's, grass or, an area for lawn furniture or something like that. I mean, it's, I was kind of leaving it open there, for, whether it's, annuals or whatever, whatever the occupants really kind of want to do there. I mean, it's a small area, but, it seems, like taking up the whole area with program planting would be a little bit too much.
maybe
Okay.
or we spirit is not to hold up.
Yep, I understand. Sure.
I mean, this is the risk when we get something this big, kind of just glaze over some of those details. And so, some of we're just proposing the landscaping alone. So we do serious and stuff. So you don't want to shortchange it.
There's at least 10 feet. So sometimes we want to make it really very.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, they're cool that they're cool that they can do that and create some greenery back there.
There's a lot of there's going to be more space than I think it's what's showing up.
Sure.
I will offer an option for landscaping is you can always approve the house and garage if that's what you're going to do. And note that the landscaping needs to come back as a separate application for final approval. I think you guys have done that before. I know other commissions have, if that makes you feel better about it.
Yep.
Or you can pull it out as a subcommittee thing.
So
too,
you
but
could
that-
keep it as the same application.
No, it would have to be
It'd be
a
a second,
separate
yeah.
application. So say if Carrick needed, some additional work or additional time, he could have that, or if he wanted to kind of swing back around. he could
Yeah, I don't think we want to hold anything on that basis. So,
I don't consider privacy fencing, is there anything else occurring with the I mean, I think the potential concession here of lot coverage, it creates this unique condition that's taking advantage of.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's contributing to those. Any other comments on lot coverage? Garage, right? So back to So there's been good dialogue of pros and cons of a couple different iterations here. Yeah, we'll solve
Yeah, I mean,
solve several problems that then have to go deal with other ones.
yeah, I would say it's a gable and it's spring. So, obviously, we do something, but.
Right.
But then what do you do?
Yeah.
I,
I don't know what to do. Too, so it creates a weird. Yeah, I mean, I have seen it.
I mean, from a practical standpoint, you're not gonna, there's no angle where you can see this house that we post at. Right. Given the kind of adjacent building, so.
There's actually one, 2 doors down that has like a headlamp or something gable on the.
Perfect.
So
It has like a partial front gable and then a gable and 5 feet.
Perhaps not quite all of those room types on the structure.
I was like,
Well, the rituals can either be red or silver, or, you know, some shade of gray.
I say go with the different one in front, the rest. 2 cents.
I think I was.
Should. Yeah, that's you're not using space, right?
we don't plan to use that space.
So that's, I mean, otherwise, it's right. Prove it, but it's not used. Space to be used, it's fine, it's there.
Also, if they change their mind and want to come back with a dormer, you know, that's a possibility down the line. Not saying that that will be anytime soon, but perhaps under different ownership years and years down the road.
We're missing any other details, like one, that the lot is crammed in.
porch. Sometimes. It's happening. Pretty straightforward, it looks like. What is the base condition?
Concrete, just a concrete stem wall.
What's the material of the?
Wood.
See, this, one of the things, not the things, but like a phone, the one that she emailed, so. It's a different show.
So I will remind you, we have a single laptop for 7 people in our department, so the boss. No, I really wish, we can't access a box on our desktop, so we have to get the laptop, which I'm currently using. So sometimes when you're doing multiple things, you either forget, because I used to be able to do this on my desktop, and now I've got to like summon a demon, sacrifice a horse. So a lot of the times something ends up getting missing because it's so much more difficult.
So the porch material, I guess I'm looking for some guidance from them. Yeah, like what was the finish? Did we like, we just expose concrete, is that or like a poured concrete, is that the intention is just like a poured concrete?
Yeah, I mean, it would just be a smooth finish.
So no concerns.
I'll make sure that I remind the contractor not to use the stamped brick side of their form.
Yes.
We have a thumbs up on the record.
Put that on the inside.
So just verify.
Yes, we are amenable to the condition of a hip roof on the front of the building.
All right, that being said, sorry, one more. Yeah.
So if we do a hip roof on the front, is the porch roof still? Go ahead. Just want something else to say.
All right, so I will.
Shoot. We're splitting up the landscaping? Yes. Okay. So, motion on application COA 250014974 West Star Avenue, to approve the application as submitted with the following, the gable roof in front of the house will be modified to be a hip roof. Those plans will be sent to staff, for final approval.
Make sure you don't want a subcommittee yet.
And the approval does not include the landscaping, and that will come back under a separate application. As finalized.
And does that need to come back to the commission?
Would it take, I mean, I think typically.
I'm just,
Basically, something we can't
Yeah.
just criticize.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
something.
no, I just wanted to make sure we were specific.
Yeah, come back before the committee. Yes.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
We got it.
All right, I'm going to suggest a like 5 to 10 minute break, just based on who else is in the room, because we do technically have 2 more applications. And I would like to give them time in case they are running behind or late.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so, yeah, do we want to try to reconvene about 5:30-ish? I know that's a longer break, but I would like to be as generous as we can to folks.
They say they were coming.
I don't get confirmation from the applicants. I did tell a couple that were like, oh, I'm out of state. Like, please send somebody. Because the commission typically doesn't vote on things that when people aren't present. And I don't think they always think, you know, if they're not going to be here to let me know. And they do get quite a bit of language with their updated agenda.
I think 5:30 is great. It's not compliance, more than fair.
All right.
Did we put times in the?
Yeah.
So what did we say?
So for the last, yeah,
So 5:30 is more than Jim.
yes, yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, keep in mind that's an hour off.
Yeah, I was just in my,
Okay, good.
like, I just assumed that clock.
Well, it's right for probably 1/2 of the year. At some point, they'll end up changing it and we're all gonna be surprised. That's a little bit too high for one of us to climb up and pull it off the wall, because that's what happened to a couple clocks.
One seems, this is outside the Victorian village, but a good example.
Sometimes you forget.
You gotta put the line into the flag.
Yes. Yeah, it's not that driveway, it's that one pole. What's going on?
What is it, where was, what neighborhood?
There was the lovely microphone here.
Yes.
Summit.
Oh, God. That's his power. Everything wrong.
House.
Those houses on Summit and Ford have gotten so beat up over the years. Yeah.
Let me see what I'm showing. Right. And it's covered in both plans.
So this last week, because I was supposed to be on vacation, Caribbean cruise. I went on a cruise. And it says,
Oh,
on the cruise ship.
I thought you were gonna say you got like some kind of neurovirus.
No, that would have been nice.
You okay?
I'm here. I still have my appendix it's coming out later this month, which is even for that situation.
Yeah.
You know, it was the second day of the cruise and they had all the symptoms and I spent the next 2 days in the medical center on the ship until we got to a port that could take me. They did antibiotics and that was done. Like apparently that works more often than not. The problem is when it's not, you're already dead. So they usually take it out first.
Yeah.
Just say like it's like so. So
Yeah, pretty amazing.
yeah, I mean there was just there was discussion of like, well, if the antibiotics don't work, we're gonna have to get the Coast Guard and back and all stuff. Because you're kidding me.
Oh.
And even so, in some we were in some areas where they couldn't get that. So you're just like, oh, great, okay. They don't do surgery on the ship. They don't do surgery on the ship. Yeah, they're pretty big ships. I mean, it was quite pretty impressed how they managed it. But man, what they should have. Yes. Not to mention the hospital stay up to Dominican Republic. That was an adventure. So,
But you survived and made it back?
yeah, but I was that Wednesday night, I was sitting in the hospital in the Dominican Republic, and like, I would have liked the Victorian Village Machine meeting over this, definitely.
Wouldn't you always like the Victorian meeting? Come on. Who would want to miss out on this?
That was crazy. So if you been in a hospital for scary time, it's a very scary.
I had a reaction in grad school. I was just like, oh, bro. It's like, oh, jeez. Like it's last final. Very little English being spoken, and they figured out what's going on and put me up. And that's a plus.
It was pretty old school in a lot of ways, but
Where?
I see it's good.
And I want to know where they got it, because I need one for my house.
Very,
But.
very high, their standards.
Oh, nice.
Bushes are structural.
Yes.
Or like, how did that appreciate?
It's like everything that isn't allowed according to these guidelines in one house.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, first thing to figure out, it's for me. Like, this is like, it's very close to it, too.
You just-
Like, that's- we actually have a-
It's right though, because they never across the street after they did this, not some of.
Well, that's the thing, I think generally, no.
That's not a design.
So we're still fighting ours.
I think that is your.
First of all, I don't even know what's going on. We do have to international, we have an emergency international land, but it's not clear whether they cover the time on the ship. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, not get treated and die, like, we wouldn't. I could see that now. So, getting treated on the ship is not.
So moral of the story, don't get very sick on cruise ships.
Yeah, this is when I talked to the doctor that's gonna take the appendix out, he's like, yeah, I have people come to me that say, oh, I'm going off to this remote location for months to take out my gallbladder. Like, he's like, I'm gonna be done, like, voluntary, like, removals, and like, and now I'm just thinking like, shit, should I have a gallbladder removed? There's a lot of long you're in there doing stuff. So, I don't know, gallbladder, I think that's more of a function.
Yes.
Yeah, right, but they're like, like, yeah, right, exactly. Well, Lord knows I did that. Yeah. Like, you're already on your anesthetic, you're already there with the lab stuff, then go for it.
Yeah, although if you do have like a diagnosis for a gallbladder, it typically takes a long time because it like masks its other symptoms. My mom had hers taken out, and mind you, she's a nurse. So she was like, okay, I recognize these symptoms. And she's like, hey, I think I have this. And it took her a while to convince the doctor that like, yes, that's what was wrong and she needed it out.
So you're talking like potentially weeks, not days in that case?
Months,
Months, really?
yeah.
I could still go on a cruise.
Yeah, it just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, mine made that just pretty quick, it was just not be as go eat, dragging me to medical, and like, the looks on their faces, and then all the doctors show up in the room at the same time. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not what I wanted you to say, I just said something suggested or something.
All right, 5:30,
Yep.
resume momentarily here.
Yes, so we do have some choices. We have one action item and one conceptual item. Do we want to hit up the action item and continue that due to the absence of the applicant, or do we want to work through the conceptual to the best of our ability without an applicant? And this is just a preference of which one we're doing first. There is no representative here for either one.
Doesn't matter.
The action item. I'm still reading off the staff reports for the record. So number 4 is 58 to 62 West 3rd Avenue. This is to install the heat pumps on the east and west elevations, with the heat pumps measuring approximately 28 inches by 37 inches by 14 inches. The commissioners at the business meeting wanted to know if a single unit had been looked at as an option, and the applicant clarified that a single unit would not be possible due to size and desired controls per the new units, and it would also block the pathway. There was concern about the heat pumps blocking the sidewalk. Commissioners wanted clarification on how much room there would be remaining after the heat pumps were installed, and the applicant has provided an updated drawing, and they have noted that there would still be a walkable path around the unit if installed. Through mounting the unit on the roof there, that could be done and would resolve concerns about walking around the building. Commissioners also wanted to confirm that the additional units had been okay with the Department of Building and Zoning, and the applicant has received initial comments from BZA that they are not opposed to the units, but BZA wanted an outlet for the units a certain distance away from the units. Commissioners were curious about the potential of installing heat pumps on the roof. The applicant noted that this could be done, and they're not opposed to the idea, though it is more difficult for anyone to see the units if they're installed on the roof versus the ground. Now, HBO staff has checked the file, and it does not appear all elements that we are seeing have been approved. Between 2019 and 2020, a board-on-board fence was removed, which would have been blocked the view of the existing mechanical units. It's typically recommended that screening is used to block such units from view from the right of way for City Code 3116.13, these standards for site improvement, as well as Victorian village guidelines on fences and yards. Staff would suggest that screening elements were added to block the existing mechanical units, and the applicant should also discuss how the third floor units would meet egress. Since the business meeting, HPO staff has noticed that the front doors have been replaced without approval and ground signage has been added to the yard between 2020 and 2022, and these items need addressed. And the applicant is aware of this as well. Staff recommends continuing the applications to allow the applicant time to update their materials. And basis for their recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, as well as City Code 3116.13, the standards for site improvements, and the Victorian Village guidelines on fences and yards. And just to note, the applicant is not here.
We have some the applicant to
Motion on application COA 2500121 58 West Third Ave to continue the application.
all those in favor? Aye.
Okay. And then we're going to move on to application number 6. Just give me a second to scroll through everything here. All right, this application is for 28 Bubbles Avenue. It's a conceptual application to modify the third floor flat roof to accommodate a patio on the rear half of the roof. The proposed rooftop patio would have an area for little bushes that retain the existing wall and install matte white latex railings. The doghouse would have vinyl siding and approximately 15 feet 11 inches long by 4 inches wide, and new shingles would match the color of the existing roof. Commissioners at the business meeting wanted to know what held the bushes and requested a section drawing through the planter area to better understand how that would work. Commissioners also wanted to know if the dormer dog run would be visible from the front of the building. A commissioner suggested exploring an opening from the roof like a skylight hatch to enter onto the proposed rooftop patio space. The applicant has cited the rooftop terraces at 104 to 110 Buttles Avenue as their inspiration. These buildings were built in the early 2000s and are non-historic structures that had the rooftop decks included in the original design. There do appear to be some inaccuracies in the site plan as to where the flat roof begins. When the proposal comes for action, drawing details need to be accurate. Window details on multiple elevations don't match what's existing as well. The commission needs to discuss if the proposed roof alteration is appropriate. Appropriate materials need to be discussed. If the roof alteration is appropriate, then HPO staff would encourage railings that disappear, such as metal railings in black, and siding material would also need to be appropriate. Discussion around improvements to roof framing will need to occur. If the applicant has not yet looked into if the roof can handle additional load, then they should, for the next review, to check if any additional work may be needed to support a rooftop patio. HPO staff thinks the alterations might be appropriate if a more minimal design was proposed. HPO staff does not support the planning wall per City Code 3116.13 subsection 1 with standards for site improvement due to it not being a compatible improvement. Commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to refine their proposal at a future hearing. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, the standards for alteration, as well as City Code 3116.13, the standards for site improvements. And also noting for the record, there is no applicant here. So I know this is conceptual if the commissioner wants to have some preliminary comments. I know if we have the applicant here, we have a much more in-depth back and forth. Okay.
One point I had it was the service of patio. And just looking at the gutter, back, whatever they're using, on certain basis. that elevation higher. Yes.
There's a
Doctor was better.
There's also maybe consideration of those extends the railing go all the way out to the edge. And just a little bit so that it got a little, again, perspective of the railing. There will be a little, so I understand they want to maximize the space. I think that could or should be considered as part of this. But then it opens up what you do. Options. Not there from the outside edge. Plantings, that's some detail. Curious what they're thinking, seeding trades, that could make sense. So, look profile system, culture planting, shrubs. It's requirement of soil.
I will note that we typically don't support from HPO staff perspective of entrance directly on the roof, just due to concern with water damage and possible damage there. We did have somebody in Italian when I staffed it that planted a tree on their roof, which was a very interesting discussion. But we wouldn't encourage it, especially that was, I think, an application for either a new build or an addition, and this is an existing historic structure, so also a little different. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, certainly could we have pursued too far, credit, visual, lightweight planter as well. Well, it's a temporary piece, but there is also.
I was to say, maybe you did a really well, make sure that it's being curves. Hard to say exactly right.
Well, this is a conceptual, so
Right, but it's
Yeah.
part of all those details that.
that they should think about when
Yeah.
bringing something for action.
Recommendations for the starting through the stair. With they're doing sort of like a very minimally invasive. And just barely at height, they would be. One for most and it's in stairwell.
I think getting past them, over 3,000. That's a lot. So it's good. By its nature, it has to be significant.
Yeah, the elevation drawing certainly doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that was.
Right. The only positive I. It's appropriate, so that's in the middle of the. Footprint, which means that. It's
accurate.
less likely to be the side.
We look at this question. It's always.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is a row houses and the roofs, do kind of match to a certain degree, or at least they're complementary. So how would an alteration of just this, fit in with the rest of the building?
I mean, we don't see a lot of roof decks in old construction. We do to discover that, where it's come in the past. I mean, it's
See the one that wasn't.
That's busy.
I remember we did one recently, well,
years that was one you couldn't see, right? Big situation.
The sort of inspired inspiration for this, those buildings have. Every unit seems to have its own roof access stair, and they do follow this. That building, and there, you can see, like, I was in the park, I can see those on that building. I'm sure it's bad, isn't bad in the same condition, but I'm sure it's visible somewhere. I think you need to do a lot more. To actually make this work, which they're not illustrating.
I mean, for me, I think getting to the aspect about bringing the wall, and making it a skylight, or being some bringing the railings and be much to get away from the sides.
Before you go on, what, with the skylight opening, would something like a cellar opening, like kind of a low profile door?
Something, yeah, it's like, well, they can be really cool ones that are sitting in like a slider, they come up all kinds of crazy things. Or ones that pop up like so that there's certainly options out there. This just seems like
It might be hard to get.
but
We have,
I guess,
there we go.
the door has to be so high, right? If you're going it this way, I think that's gonna be tough to get over no matter how you do it. So. Anything that's not visible from the ground, I think we should, I could support, you know. So maybe we get all the way up to that. Okay, any other comments? Central comments.
Okay, thank you all. If it comes back again, depending on the level of update, it might be back some of their conceptual, but that all depends on what material I get, as well as the applicant isn't here to kind of explain some things. So I think having a conceptual discussion might benefit them as well as us to understand. And I will note that because Sean's not here, as well as a couple other commissioners, I'm going to suggest moving the elections to next month.
Oh, that's supposed to be today.
Yes, yeah, it was supposed to be last month, and then we also had, not everybody was here, and I forgot and told Sean, or you had mentioned it. But we would like most of the commissioners to be here to vote.
We can still vote, Michelle. Say your answer, say you got it.
So from staff perspective, we'd like her to be here to confirm or deny their nomination.
Oh, that sounds good.
Any other business?
No. Adjourn.
I said motion to adjourn. Thank you.
We have a second.